chamber to now adjourn. I give the call to the member for Melbourne.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I want to inform the Parliament of some sad events that are taking place in my electorate. But first, let me note also my sadness about the events that we hear have happened in Canada overnight, and sadly also reports of violence closer to home in Victoria. My thoughts are with the families and friends of those who are affected, and whilst we're still learning all the full details of the situation in Canada, the latest tragedy suggests again the terrible consequences of people becoming disconnected from the place that they call home. And I think every one of us hopes beyond hope that this never happens here. Right now, when we're hearing news each day of deaths and conflict abroad, our community should be coming together as one. Political leaders and every member of our community should be making sure everyone feels that they have a place here, that they belong, regardless of their religion or ethnicity or any other difference. Sadly, over recent weeks, Muslim Australians, and especially women, are telling me that they are being harassed and assaulted. Over the last months, there have been reports of Australians being abused based on their religion, their ethnicity and their appearance. In my own electorate, I and my office have heard stories of my constituents being abused. In Carlton, a woman who was wearing a hijab was returning home. As she was walking, a car full of young men drove past her yelling insults. In Richmond, a woman who lives in public housing had experienced aggression from one of her neighbours for a while, but the aggression has now become targeted on the basis of her Muslim identity, with abuse being hurled at her on the basis of her faith. In North Melbourne, a woman walking down the street was told she should go back to where she came from, and this is a woman who is from Australia. She was born here, not far from where this incident happened. These are people's real stories, their real experiences. And I've heard that now many women are feeling anxious and hesitant to take public transport. A woman in the Somali community in Flemington has been driving other women around because they're not willing to get on public transport. And there are women who are now choosing to leave the house only at a bare minimum and only when required. A Greens member recently knocked on the door of someone in Richmond who said she was barely leaving her home out of fear. And sadly, I've also heard reports of physical aggression. In late September, we heard that a woman on a train just outside of my electorate was verbally abused, and before she had her head pushed into the side of a carriage by another woman, and she was then pushed out of the carriage at a nearby station. This abuse is unacceptable. The violence and the threats must stop. Everyone has the right to feel safe in this country and to be treated with respect. A Facebook group, Islamophobia Register Australia, has been set up as a space for people to report incidents. And on this group, there are many more stories from people across Australia describing the abuse that they've experienced in the past month. And I encourage people to visit this group and report any abuse they experience or incidents that they may see. I also urge anyone who feels unsafe or who experiences abuse or sees something happen to report it to the police by calling the police assistance line on 131 444. My office is also available. In times of adversity, communities come together to provide strength, love and support. And while it's only some members of the community and a minority who are driving this division, perpetuating fear and committing abuse, the majority are coming together as one. That's why we in the Greens are pushing for a national focus on social cohesion. Australian women of all religions and ethnicities have created Wish, Women in Solidarity with Hijabis. And these women are standing in solidarity with Australian Muslim women by wearing a hijab and posting a photo with their message of support on their Facebook page. In less than a month, this group has swelled to almost 30,000 members. Our political leaders loudly and rightly condemn terrorism. And now it's time for all of us to just as loudly condemn the attacks on people here at home. To the Australians of all backgrounds who are uniting and living our values of acceptance, respect, compassion and equality, thank you. To those experiencing discrimination and abuse, you are not alone. Many are standing with you. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.